Right.
Tell us when.
It's recording.
Hello. We are here to present our Unit 6 readings, and I'm going to start. My name is Jennifer, and I had important developments in educational technology 2018 for higher education, and they talked about 3 different time to adopt horizon, like time periods, 1 to 2 years. Sorry. 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and then 4 to 5 years. So at the 1 to 2 years and the first 2, I had already kind of talked about worker space and like getting areas ready for the technology, the speed it's moving. So I worked on the one, a time to adopt 4 to 5 years. And the 2 different topics it covered was mixed reality, which I didn't even know what that meant, like in a technical educational sense. And it's basically where digital and physical objects coexist. So just that alone to me sounded kind of crazy, but it's actually pretty interesting that they could actually be so real together that students don't know the virtual part from the real part, which is interesting and creepy. They were talking about the university in Illinois that's using this kind of technology already, and they are helping incarcerated inmates that have been in prison for many years to adjust to like what one of us would just go to Starbucks and get coffee and or things that we're used to doing because we have that freedom. So when they come out of being incarcerated for so many years, that type of interaction is not just interaction with anybody that's not like screaming or yelling or demanding something is not, they're not used to that. So, which I thought was really interesting because who knew that they could use this, that A, that this existed, and B, that we could use it on prisoners, ex-prisoners. And then the second topic it covered was robotics. So the first robotics were created to help in car manufacturing. And then eventually when they perfected that, they're at this point today, they help in mining, the military, and in transportation still. And they basically talked about in this article, they help with things that are either dangerous or too tedious for human beings. I don't know what that says about us, but that by 2020, the robot population is expected to double to 4 million. It's very interesting. I mean, I guess it's a little bit scary too, but it's very interesting because of what they could do as far as like medicine. They have them like doing all kinds of things that just are crazy. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's something I guess to look as we get older and get into our professions and watch what happens that we could say, hey, we read about that, in 2019 or whatever. So very interesting. It's a lot of interesting things to look forward to.
All right. So I had the important developments in education technology for K through 12 in the 2016 K through 12 edition. And so it broke it up just like Jennifer said, into like 1 year or less, 2 to 3 years, or 4 to 5 years. Some of the topics were makerspaces, online learning, robotics, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and wearable technology. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about makerspaces just because I love makerspaces. I see this a lot in early childhood classrooms, and I think it is such a great like center that they have because so many children can use their problem solving skills and creativity, use anything. Paper towel rolls, beads, tape, scissors, and it's like arts and crafts, but with science in it. And teachers right now, from the article, it was stating that like teachers are trying to get maker spaces to coincide with the curriculum standards in schools, and that this way they could use it more often. The other one in the 1 year or less was the online learning. Just alone from this class, I think I have used a lot more online material that I have in my entire life. So I think online learning really is important, and I'm glad like they're putting this in like the younger grades in school. Like even my niece, she's in 5th grade. She has to log in every week to do homework on there, and it tracks it and tells the teacher how long she's been on, been on it and stuff like that. So I think that these things are really important, and I really enjoyed reading about it. I didn't really understand what artificial intelligence was. It kind of freaked me out a little bit. Something about they had, some program watch YouTube for like 600 hours or something so it could get information and algorithms and stuff. That's in 4 to 5 years. This was 2016, so we still have a couple of years left on that. So I guess I would just have to read on like my own about artificial intelligence because I didn't understand that. But overall, it was an interesting read. So thank you.
All right. I had 2017 NMC Technology Outlook for Chinese higher education. So the ones that I'm going to focus on, I think it was like 2 to 3 years for adoption. I like the augmented and virtual reality, and also they had one on virtual and remote labs. So what they're trying to do in 2 to 3 years from 2017, which is actually in about a year or so. But with the augmented reality, what they're trying to do is they're trying to create like a blended reality that can simulate people and objects to generate like sensory or hands-on experiences, which I thought was kind of interesting because if it's hands-on, I don't really see how you're gonna with the augmented reality, it's not really hands-on. And the same thing with the virtual and remote labs. So they were saying that they want to adopt those to create environments so that you don't have to use real equipment, but it gives the learner opportunities to learn and improve understanding. And I kind of understand that, and I kind of agree with that to a certain extent. And what I mean by that is like, we have a science program at our school that we use called STEM Scopes. They do have a virtual investigation embedded inside of the curriculum. So the students can be there and do a virtual investigation. But to me, it's like, to me, the learner I would like for them to do the hands-on part first and maybe use the video just to kind of reinforce. I don't think that a video should, me personally, I don't think a video should just be the basis of them learning. And so I was kind of like, I think it's cool, and I think it could be useful, but I just don't know if that's the best way for learners to learn, is if everything is just, through a virtual simulation or a virtual environment, because they're not going to get the experience of actually touching the materials and, so I don't know. That was just my post on it.
Okay, so I did K-Trends Accelerating Technology Adoption in Museums for the 2016 Museum Edition. And some key trends that I really enjoyed. The first one was the cross-institutional or institution collaboration. One thing, that it was talking about was how the museums, it's important for them to essentially just be in contact with each other, and how this is like it's improving over time. This was actually a long-term trend, so it's more like 5 or more years, but I feel like this is already happening. I used to work at the Houston Zoo, and I know that they have databases there, and they're already working together to see what certain animals are at which zoo. So it's really important for them, especially if they're researching the same topic, just for them to stay on. One museum might have more information than the other museum, and it's important for them to share that information so they can have the correct information at their museum. The next one was new roles for museum professionals. This was simply just stating that technology is pretty much just taking over their jobs. And this was a 5 or more year long-term trend as well, but I already see this happening. You get to the museum and you see everybody standing in line to go get tickets at the ticket booth when there's a kiosk over there. So you're going to go to the kiosk, see your tickets. you don't have to deal with anybody either. The other thing too is like at museums they do personal tours, but now you can get like the audio in your ears, you know, and you can listen to it as you walk by. And it also like that will help like get rid of like stories that are skewed or personal opinions from employees as well. And the other trend was mobile content and delivery. This was a short-term trend that was 1 to 2 years, which kind of just sounded like the same thing as the new roles for museum professionals. Essentially just saying that, you know, tablets are coming into play, all this technology is coming into play. They're showing like 3D, or sorry, not 3D, the like big IMAX movies like at museums now too. So those were just the ones that I was really interested in.
You know, just to add something, I went to Alcatraz a few years ago. I was in San Francisco, and you get the headphones. And so if you think about it, like, because I like to travel a lot, you're not everyone's going to speak English. So you get the headphones, and you can put it in any language you can think of is in this little machine, and it tells you like you're taking a walking tour on your own with no tour guide, and you're listening. And they're like, now you should be at cell block, blah, blah. And then, but so anyone can go and listen in their language and take this walking tour. And it's impressive. Like, it really was impressive. The different people that you hear when you don't have them in, you know, like that visit places like that, you know, because it's considered a museum. So it's amazing.
They're trying to adopt that for schools too. So like when I'm presenting and like students will have the technology where it will take in what I'm saying and they can listen in their own language to what I just said. And that would be incredible, especially for education for teachers.
Oh yeah. I mean, think about if you have a new student show up that's just moved here and has no idea and doesn't know any English. Like, I mean, your phone can only translate so fast. So
yeah.
I like that idea too. I hope they really implement that. I mean, I'm just speaking from a personal experience because I am considered a monolingual ESL teacher. And so in my classroom, like, you know, we have our bilingual classrooms and they can talk to the students, you know, in Spanish if they need to. But with me being an ESL, I get any other student that their, you know, native language is not English. So, you know, like I have a boy, you know, he speaks French, Arabic, you know, so I mean, it makes it really difficult for them to retain the content and understand, you know, and I don't speak Arabic, you know, I don't speak French, you know, I use Google Translate like all the time because you know, just to be able to communicate the information to them, you know, and I just feel so bad for them because, you know, they are students that end up struggling because they get put in these classrooms where they don't understand English, but there's no teacher that speaks their language either. So I think that would be a really good implementation into the schools.
All right. Thanks for watching our video. Oh, man.
Hannah.
I did it again.